Catch it with 976 Tuna. Hey everybody, welcome on board the Pacific Queen out of Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. We're going to take you offshore for a little kelp patty yellowfin tuna and some more.
Yeah, baby.
SoCal Slew doing its thing, really putting the wood to a nice yellowfin tuna as we get into a nice early morning stop on the YFT in absolutely beautiful flat calm weather. Many of you remember this fine Pacific Queen from the days of Eddie McEwen, the dean of sport fishing skippers, who's no longer with us right now. But I tell you, he did such a fine job in establishing a reputation on this big, beautiful boat. And Bill Cavagna, well, he hadn't let it down at all. He still rock and rolls and catches more fish than ever before on a Pacific Queen. Bill and his wife Jen do such a marvelous job making sure that everybody on board are comfortable and having a great, safe trip. But more than that, you get into the fish thick when you're on the Pacific Queen. On this 976 Tuna charter, the action was fast and furious. One fish after another hitting the deck on the Queen. And anglers, of course, the night before were treated to a very special seminar by Bill and the crew of the Pacific Queen, getting them ready for all this action, showing them exactly what they need to do when they get a whole bunch of fish hooked up, how to walk under a rod when you got a fish on the other side. Keeping that fish right in front of you is so very important, and the crew on board the Pacific Queen went to great lengths to make sure everybody understood it and stayed right with it. It's teamwork. That's what these trips are all about. And on 976 Tuna trips, we really emphasize that. You got to work together. You're part of one big team. And I'll tell you, when you hang together, you can really make things happen. More fish, more yellowfin, great variety, flat calm weather, and the guys on board this trip, well, Rick Santella told me they were having the time of their lives. Some anglers on board have never been tuna fishing before, so they put their very first tuna on the deck of the Queen, and there's just nothing like catching your first tuna. It's really a thrill. And we've talked a lot about Bill Cavagna. There he is, up on the tanks, chumming up a storm and getting those fish sucked into the stern of the Pacific Queen. Bill's not only a fine gentleman, but one of the finest skippers in San Diego. And I tell you, you get on the Queen and you are insured one heck of a great trip. As these guys, well, they need no convincing. They know it after this trip. A little bit about the Pacific Queen. She's 88 feet in length. Big, beautiful, graceful boat with a beam of 22 feet. She is really a beautiful platform. Spacious, air-conditioned sleeping accommodations for up to 40 passengers. So if you're thinking about a charter, you can take 40 people on there. 3 heads, all located internally. And I love that. I don't want anybody walking out on deck in the middle of the night to have to use the head. They're all inside. Also have 2 showers available on all trips. Reverse osmosis water maker. Plenty of fresh water on every single trip. High recovery water heater. Satellite telephone. You got it all on the Queen. And of course, 2 refrigerated fish holes and 175 scoop bait capacity. Really can make things happen for you. Tons of bait for chumming and for using. A multi-day trips. In fact, Queen not only runs overnight open party trips, overnight charter trips, but they go down the Baja Coast on 5-day trips on many, many occasions. Great action here, more YFT coming on board. And, you know, I tell you, this year, 2005, and as we look ahead also, there's going to be a lot of variety in these waters with this El Nino cranking up, so it's going to be fun. Talked a lot about Bill Cavagna and his expertise. The crew on board, same thing. These guys know how to find fish. You know, when you're looking for albacore or yellowfin, we call fish that pop out of the water eyeball fish. Eyeball fish are simply those fish you see before you catch, whether it's a fish crashing up and eating some bait or a jumper or anything else. Those eyeball fish are really important, but also really important is state-of-the-art fish finding equipment, and the Queen's got it, including a Bruno Fathometer and a Westmar side scanning sonar. There's nothing that gets out of the view of the Pacific Queen. You all know. I mean, one of the reasons you all fish is because fresh fish beats anything you can buy in the market. Now it's even better. You know what RSW is? It's refrigerated seawater fish holds. It's a really revolutionary new approach to making sure your fish is as fresh as it can be, and the Queen will do that for you. They'll get it down in that RSW, and they will make sure that when you get home, you've got sushi quality fish to put on the table. You will notice when the crew of the Pacific Queen places your fish on the dockside carts, they are never handled roughly. They're always treated with the respect and dignity that our great fish deserve. And man, I'll tell you, it is awesome. Yeah, that's right. You see that? It's really a part of every 976 tuna trip. Seminars as the fishing is taking place on the fly. There's 976 tuna staff members like Earl McVicker. And he'll walk around and make sure you know how to pull on that fish and your drag's right and make sure you have proper tackle. And if you don't, he'll hand you the right kind of hook. Earl and the rest of the 976 tuna guys are there to make sure you catch fish and, more importantly, you have a great time. Tons of action here, as you can see, and great deckhands right there with the gaff when you need it. And while we're focusing mostly on San Diego, obviously, in this show, I do want you to know that in the fall, the Queen takes off in a northern direction. Goes up there to beautiful Morro Bay, where they catch some of that great big longfin. I mean, albacore that get up to 80, 90 pounds sometimes. They go up there and give it their very best. So make sure you check with Pacific Queen Officer Fisherman's Landing in October, November. That time of the year is when the Queen heads to Morro Bay. Oh, that's what it's all about, the thrill of catching fish. And man, can you believe this action? Cameraman Rick Santella said he didn't know which guy to follow. There were too many guys that had fish hooked up. And I'll tell you, as Rick filmed so expertly for Catch It, there are a lot of folks, all bit, all working as a team, all working as a unit. And that's because of the great Pacific Queen crew and 976 Tuna Charters. We try to make sure that everybody has a good time. And the way you have a good time is by working together and doing your thing. And in the galley, it's worth mentioning, the food on the Pacific Queen, awesome, great stuff, wonderful food. You may gain a few pounds on one of these Pacific Queen trips, but if you have some dietary necessities, diabetic or anything like that, you just make sure you talk to Jen ahead of time, Jen Cavagna. Tell her about your needs and she'll take care of it. That galley is there to serve you on the Pacific Queen, and they'll make sure that you gain a few pounds or you lose a few pounds, however you want to handle it. Awesome trip, and you know, Terrence and Rick were both on board this trip from 976 Tuna, and they are looking at this footage with me, and they're just saying, I remember what a great people these folks were, and how well well they worked together. It was absolutely wonderful. And they had such a good time. And as part of it, you make such dear friends on these trips. And friendships that can last a lifetime. Fishing, a huge part of what the Queen does. But don't forget, the Queen also is certified to go down to the gray whale birthing grounds, the San Ignacio Lagoon. It's a beautiful way to go down and experience the migration of the gray whale as they move from the Bering Sea down the California coast and into the warm water lagoons of Baja California to bear their young. It's a real wonderful experience to get out and pet a gray whale, and just being there is really awesome. You've got to take a look at that. And the action just never seems to want to slow down on the Pacific Queen. Outstanding action continuing here as anglers are pulling on more and more fish on the Queen. Tremendous action, yellowfin all over the place. Changing your bait's a big part of what'll get you bit. But on this trip, guys were taking dead bait and tossing them over and still getting a hookup. I mean, it was just as wide open as you could possibly ever want it. We're looking forward to more of that here in the coming years on the Pacific Queen. And they never stop upgrading on the Queen. Computer designed propellers are brand new, making for a smoother, more efficient ride to the fishing grounds. New carpet and fresh paint throughout the main bunk room and stateroom. She's beautiful right now. And a newly remodeled galley makes the Queen just one of the prize jewels of the San Diego fleet. And another thing worth pointing out here is that this is a family type of environment. You want to bring your kids, your wife, your girlfriend, go on out there and have a ball. I'll tell you, it's just such a great crew on the Queen, and they'll take your kids aside, talk to them about fishing, talk to them about the safety factors, and make sure they learn a little bit about the ocean's environment, and of course, catch a bunch of fish and have a great time doing it. Bring your cameras, make sure you do that. Catch it isn't always there on board with you, so you want to have your own camera and get a shot of your prize catch on the Pacific Queen. They're memories that'll last a lifetime. You want to burn those memories into film so you have them for a long time to come. And when your kids get a little bit older and they look back at dad and mom out there pulling on fish with them, it'll mean an awful lot to them. Remember, bring the kids, have a great time. The Queen is there to serve you. Caller on another nice fish coming on board the Pacific Queen. And another angler thrilled out of his mind about another great catch, which is going to make a beautiful meal when that YFT gets home. Nice shot of a beautiful yellowfin tuna, and another thrilled angler making his way back to the stern to get another bait pinned on and get another hookup. Look at that flock of birds up there too. You can see there's YFT underneath those birds. A lot of action, a ton of action under those birds, and the Queen's right smack dab in the middle of all that activity. Another gaff. You see that deckhand getting off the tanks, getting another gaff, put another yellowfin tuna on board. Several anglers bit back to the stern. Birds fly all over the place. And man, what a scene it is on the Queen with flat calm seas. You see this over and over and over again. I'd like to tell you that this was a once-in-a-lifetime trip, but more times than not, we see these kind of fishing trips out of San Diego on the Pacific Queen. Many of the crew members on the Queen are also captains in their own right, holding their licenses. So you talk about safety, you have got it all on board the Pacific Queen. You'll never have any problems in terms of that. And also the Queen is a certified SOLAS vessel. That means Safety of Life at Sea vessel, which is an international rating based on onboard safety and communication equipment. So don't worry about that. You are safe and sound on the Queen. All you got to worry about is putting that next big yellowfin or next albacore, bluefin, or big eye or dorado on the boat. I don't know about you, but I just never get tired of the smiles and the thrills that anglers have when they're out on the water catching fish. You know, fishing sometimes becomes secondary in this whole game. It's being away from the phones and being away from all the crazy freeway traffic, being away from all the craziness of life and just being out of the water in the middle of nature. You catch a fish or two, and that's a bonus as far as I'm concerned, but the fresh air and the birds and the dolphin and the whales and everything that makes fishing trips so special, man, you'll experience on the Queen. That's why you see these guys smiling and having such a great time. Not only the fishing, it's just the whole environment. It's just being on the water. When you're on the water on the Pacific Queen, it's even more special. This is really starting to get out of hand now. I mean, just wide open fishing. Another sport boat has moved in with its here next to the Queen, sensing that we have just a tremendous bite going on, and we do. Another fish coming on board, but you can see all the other rods bent. You can see fish up in the bow, fish in the stern. You don't have to soak a bait very long in this bite. You get a bait in the water, and there is brown all over it. Yellowfin tuna crashing all over this boat right now. A tremendous frenzied action. On board the Queen, beautiful yellowfin tuna, and those smaller fish make such a great eating fish. They're wonderful sashimi. Anybody out there like seared ahi? There's nothing like that. It's a wonderful way to prepare it on the barbecue with some lemon butter and garlic. Nothing better. I'm starting to get hungry here. And I tell you, my favorite way, and with the RSW, you can do it. Of course, is sashimi or sushi, and some wasabi and soy. This fish is absolutely the best, the freshest you'll ever taste. And it's because of the way it gets handled on board the Pacific Queen, with the refrigerated seawater and just the dignity that they treat these fish with, never banging them around. Taking very gentle care of your catch will ensure a wonderful product when it hits back there at the dock and ultimately in your kitchen. Beautiful, tranquil day on the Pacific Queen. Another nice yellowfin tuna coming on board, and just a wonderful way to end up a trip. We're just about ready to kick it for home after a wide open day. You know, it's just a great way to relax and get away from it all. And of course, at the same time, it's exhilarating. Loads of fun. More fish coming on board, as this was a tremendous day of sport fishing. Everybody's got their own technique. Some guys whine gently, some guys jerk that rod up and down and whine like crazy, and other guys finesse their way into bites. It's just a great way to make things happen, and wonderful experience. It's an individual and a team thing at the same time. Individuals using their own methods, but teamwork to make sure that you land those fish and get them on board. And we've talked about it so very much. Following your fish is so important. And this one is going to run this angler all the way up around the bow and then back around the other way. This fish can't make up his mind which way to go. The important thing is that angler stays right on top of it. Man, look at that beautiful technique. Follow that fish right up and around the bow and then stroking on it just perfectly. Raising that rod tip, reeling down. Just a perfect way to get a fish on board.
What's going on?
You're the man,
That's
Gary.
an old buddy of ours, Gary, with his first tuna. Having a great time. We had a lot of first timers on board this trip. You see Gary walking his fish up right now, and it is a thrill not only to catch your first tuna, but just to keep on catching them after that. And all these guys, first timers, not only caught their first, but they caught their second, their third, and even more. maybe there in the background you can see one angler throwing the iron. There's so many different ways to take these yellowfin, adding to the experience. Of course, you can bait fish, but you can throw iron. Poppers are really, really effective. And so many times the fish are on different colored lures, so you got to pay attention out there. You know, a lot of times they're on the blue and white. Tuna love chrome jigs, solid chrome or chrome and blue, or a variety of different patterns. So you got to pay attention to that. Sometimes they eat them on the surface, and sometimes they eat them down deep. So remember, bring a variety of tackle out there, and the guys will tell you what's happening. Of course, if you just check 976tuna.com on a regular basis, we're going to tell you the fish are biting the yo-yo iron, or the fish are biting the surface iron, or you want to fish 40 pounds. We'll get you all up on all that information on a daily basis on 976tuna.com. And then, on board the 976 Tuna charter of your choice, well, if it's on the Pacific Queen, the great crew of the Queen is going to take good care of you and make sure you're up to speed on exactly what's going on and how to better optimize all your fishing tackle. So if you are a first timer, don't be shy, don't be afraid, come on out. Make sure you get on a boat like the Pacific Queen where the crew's gonna take their time and show you how to do it. And if you do that, I'm telling you right now, I can't imagine anybody getting out on the water and not having a great time on a boat like the Pacific Queen in a bite like this. You'll really enjoy yourself. You'll have a wonderful time. It's great for the kids and the family, and you're just going to enjoy the entire experience. Remember, if you are prone to seasickness, there's patches out there, there's some great stuff to help you get over that. That can really, really help you out, so make sure you investigate that a little bit. Just a great day on the Pacific Queen, and we have nothing but great things to say about Bill Cavagnon, the Pacific Queen experience. If you get a chance, jump on board the Pacific Queen. Jump on a 976 Tuna charter, and make sure you're looking out for our new TV show, Catch It, as we'll have the very latest for you there. Catch It with 976 Tuna, our new TV show. Of course, the internet side headed toward 200 million hits. In the year 2005, you are going to enjoy this 2005 season as well as other seasons as we celebrate our 20-year anniversary. Hope you enjoyed this day on the Pacific Queen. We certainly enjoyed having you on board with us. And you know, we enjoyed having all the anglers on all the trips we did in 2004, and we're looking forward to a big year. And remember, make sure you give Bill and Jen Cavagnon a call at the Pacific Queen office or Fisherman's Landing in San Diego, the Pacific Queen, where you can make your fishing dreams come true. Bill Freeman for Catch It with 976 Tuna saying, I hope your next fishing trip is a great one. Take care, everybody.